Cat Beyond the Boat. Okay. Welcome to Matt and Cat Beyond the Bow Tie. I'm Matt, and sadly, Cat isn't here. We think she's asleep because, Colum said, it's crazy, silly, early in the morning for us.
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and do a show. We've got Colum Regan with us again. His attachment to Doctor Who is he was the body double for David Tennant, starting with Voyage of the Damned and going from there. And if you haven't watched a previous episode, go ahead and go over there. He'll tell you how he got started, what he got to do on the show, the different things like that. But we wanted to have him back, and he gracefully has joined us amongst his busy schedule as well. So I'm looking forward to this episode. What we kind of want to do today, since Kat's not here, is he and I will kind of give our perspective on our take of Peter Capaldi being the new Doctor. And then I was talking with him, and I think it'd be kind of fun to just kind of talk about the differences between the U.S. and Britain. Just different phrases, different cultures. We were talking about before we started. We were talking about how they have I think it's crazy when people bring babies to movies, and Colin was saying that they actually have mother-baby showings of movies in Britain. So we'll kind of go from there and do that, and yeah, and then we'll definitely have Colin on the show again. If you have any questions you want him to answer, go ahead and shoot us an email, which is beyondthebowtie@gmail.com. And we'll go ahead and ask him the next time we have him on, because I'm hoping he's up to coming back a third time. Hopefully
Yeah, we'll see how this experience goes.
we'll see. Make sure we don't embarrass you too much.
I'm more likely to embarrass myself, I think.
No worries. That's what we thrive on this show, is embarrassing ourselves. Just, start talking and going off on a tangent and just hilarity ensuing. So anyways, so the new Doctor, we're 4 episodes into him now. No. Yes, 4 episodes, because the most recent episode, if you're watching this later on, has been Listen. We're not going to go into detail on most of the episodes, but I mean, we'll give examples from our takes of the Doctor. So I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing you have a favorite Doctor yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm biased, aren't I?
I know you're probably biased, but you're rightfully so biased. Everybody else I talk to thinks Tennant is their favorite Doctor. I don't know if I told you this, but Matt Smith is kind of my favorite Doctor. He's the one I cosplay at Comic-Con. He's the one that I think the reason is because when I started watching Doctor Who, I think it was about 2008 when he started being the Doctor. So I think I started watching him and then started, in conjunction or in parallel with that, watching the old ones, starting with Eccleston, moving up through Tennant to him. So I kind of knew where it was going. I knew, okay, this is going to be the new guy. I know there's a guy in between. So I really didn't have that Whovian grieving process for the new Doctor. And this has been my first actual grieving process of, okay, I really liked Matt Smith. Who's this new guy? Am I going to like him?
I do think that there is for your first Doctor, the first Doctor you see, you do kind of that's the one you attach to. the most. I mean, I did watch Eccleston before Tennant, and I really like Christopher Eccleston as an actor, but I didn't buy it. I didn't buy him. I didn't. He didn't really convince me. And so when I saw when Tennant did his thing, I was very convinced that there was the genuine article.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and so how are you adjusting to Capaldi then?
Um, Before I talk about that, I'm talking
Yeah,
about Eccleston. I think in a way, I think Eccleston kind of gets sometimes the short end of the stick. He only had one season.
yeah,
Um, when they started it back up, the production value wasn't there, but I mean, the old Doctor Who, the production value wasn't really there. Um,
yeah,
um, you notice that I noticed in the very first episode and rewatching it, like the music was like on a synthesizer. It felt like there was somebody in the background on the synthesizer doing the music, and I mean, the production value was better than the old series, but I think it's grown by leaps and bounds since then.
yeah,
Um, Plus, I think, I mean, Eccleston's the one that brought us back to the Doctor. Um, he actually, I mean, I think he had a long, I think he had a big road to go down to
yeah,
uh, bring people back to the series and actually make it popular. Um, I will say he's not my favorite Doctor, and I like things about Tennant and Matt Smith more than him. But I do think that he kind of, as far as credit goes, he brought us back into the whole Doctor Who universe, the Whoverse, and did an okay job at it. Yeah, but I mean, and as an actor, I like his stuff. He was in GI Joe, Thor 2.
yeah,
Trying to think of other stuff that I've seen him in, but yeah, well, and then kind of that, and he brings about that dark side of the Doctor that comes out.
yeah,
Um, he had to play, the Time Lord that was the last Time Lord, or so we think,
yeah,
um, and that he had to make this incredible decision to destroy his planet to save the universe, basically.
yeah.
So yeah, I think there's that from my perspective, but as
Yeah, no, that's true. He had a lot to deal with, didn't he? I mean, there was a pretty massive story arc there for him.
yeah, it's like, hey, we're gonna jump right back into this huge mythology that's already been established. And
Yeah,
I will say, the very first episode though, the plot line, like, yeah, it wasn't there. The whole, it's not necessarily the Autons, the mannequins, which I know is a throwback to the past episodes and it could be seen as kind of hokey, but the whole remedy, the kind of like the solution to the episode was he had this vial of anti-plastic type of stuff, and it was just kind of like it was kind of weak to me,
yeah,
and that I guess I kind of felt the same way about Robot and Sherwood or of Sherwood, the end
mm,
where they just uh, obviously spoilers if you're watching this and you haven't
uh,
seen any of the episodes. Um, just the whole launching the golden arrow into the ship to make it go into outer space. It was just kind of
yeah,
weak for me.
yeah,
I do like I did like the setting though, the Sherwood Forest and like the
yeah.
costuming and stuff like that. But
Well, I
the
think
story,
I think the that episode was the main thrust of it was fun. And I know what you mean about the arrow and the resolution to the climax was a bit, well, that was a tiny little arrow, and really was that what was that the best you could do?
right?
But it I was happy to go along with it just because I had a lot of fun getting there. You know what I mean? They
Yeah,
had to wind it up somehow. So
that's true.
uh, and there's um, it wasn't nearly as dramatic as some of the other ones, but it was a lot of fun. And because I think Capaldi is very good at arguing, funnily, you know. So
Getting,
it was really good to get his teeth into a good argument.
yeah, and then getting upset every time they're so merry. Why are you laughing?
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that, because I've wondered about this, why he went, why he chose Scottish, um, the for the character, and there is a certain element of that in the Scottish character, the kind of dour, um, uh, straight-faced, and I mean, I'm saying this. I've got some very good Scottish friends, but they
David
do
Tennant.
have they yeah. Just to put that in as a disclaimer, but there is that tendency to look on things as not in a that let's see. I'd say that there's a lack of frivolity.
Kind of
So
like a
so
skeptical,
I put it.
being skeptical type of, like,
Yeah,
you got to prove it to me. I'm not just going to blindly believe anything you say type of thing.
yeah, and there's another there's a stereotype of the Scottish being as well, being mean with their money, or if not mean with their money, then not generous with their money. Let's put it that way. Um, and that uh,
Are you still there? Oh, you froze.
their nationality as, for instance, the Irish or the Welsh stereotypically would be
Oh,
accredited
okay.
with, you know.
Or wait,
So I think that
is Tennant, is he Scottish?
he is Scottish, but he played the Doctor as an English man.
As English, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
But Capaldi's playing it as Scottish. Yeah, I remember that because they
yeah.
they touched on that. I did like, um, in the first episode how he was trying to come to grips with his new persona, and
Mm.
even to the point where he's like, I've seen this face before, which kind of is a throwback to Fires of Pompeii, because that's where we first saw Peter Capaldi in the Doctor Who
Okay.
universe, along with Karen Gillan. She was also in that episode.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, he played he played a very major role on that episode. Peter Capaldi did in the Fires of Pompeii um, episode with Tennant and,
Mm.
um, I think it was Donna Noble
Okay.
or Catherine Tate. I think, because I think, um, I lost my picture. Because I think she convinced him to go save them. Because he's like, oh, this is time locked or a fixed point in time, and I can't change that. But she convinced him to go save the family, and Peter Capaldi is basically the kind of the head of the family type of thing. And then we kind of get that illusion in, the 50th anniversary when Tom Baker made the cameo, him hinting that he was the Doctor and he had revisited one of the past faces that he really enjoyed, type of thing.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, as far as Capaldi, I mean, I think now that we're in 4 episodes, I'm finally getting to the point where I'm like, okay, he's the Doctor. I can accept that. He's a good Doctor. I like his acting. Um, and I can put to rest the Matt Smith. I don't have to think, well, he was Matt Smith. Why isn't he doing Matt Smith type of stuff? you know, because each
Yeah.
Doctor has their own personality quirks and, um, So yeah,
Because yeah, I found the first episode with Capaldi quite uncomfortable to watch. Actually, I I didn't really enjoy it. I think I was trying to as well come to terms with him in that role
yeah,
as much
plus,
as he was trying to come to terms with it.
yeah. Plus, he's in that regenerative state where he's a little wonky or weird or still finding out who he is, kind of like in when Matt Smith first started the whole scene where he tries to figure out what he likes eating.
Mm.
What was that? An apple. I hate apples. Don't ever give me an apple. You said apples were your favorite.
Mm.
That whole
Yeah.
thing where he finds out he likes custard and fish fingers and custard. So yeah, I will say that I really did enjoy the Matt Smith cameo at the end, though. I think that helped
Yeah.
in my transition because, and then that whole thing that Moffat does where he ties it in, like he you're like, oh yeah, the phone was off the hook and she hung it up, and that's why. That whole hinting at things to come and not knowing at the time that that's why it was put that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I've been telling people that Peter Capaldi's Doctor reminds me a lot of Dr. Emmett Brown from Back to the Future.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, that kind of absent-minded, older look,
Yeah.
and just even his voice
Mm.
is very kind of a little gruff like Doc Brown's was too, which I think
Yeah.
is great. I mean, Doc Brown was a time traveler as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that character
Yeah,
because he had a kind of zany energy as well, a kind of a crazy.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so yeah, I think I'm going. I think I'm reaching the end of the grieving. You know, the was it the stages of grieving?
Yeah.
I've come to acceptance. I think I'm right there at acceptance.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I think. I do like um, yeah, that one scene in the first episode where we have Capaldi, where he's talking to the homeless guy, trying to figure out who he is,
Yeah.
thinking he should need a long scarf, and then he's like, "No, that would be silly."
Yeah. Yeah.
Throwback to Tom Baker. Um, that reminds me of I don't know if you remember when they had like the Living Flesh with Matt Smith, um, the people that came out of that goo, where they could control them, and then they kind of got their own personalities after there was like a solar flare or something. And these
Okay.
workers, they were working with acid, and they had this. They could replicate themselves and then control their replications so they didn't get hurt. But then something happened and there was a disconnect, and then those replicants, so to speak, had their own personalities.
Okay.
Um, it was in the story arc where Amy was pregnant.
Okay. Okay. No, I don't actually remember that particular. Maybe I missed that one.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, there's this time where the doctor touched the goo and it's formed one of him, and so then there's this time where he's like going through his past regenerations, and so there's like throwbacks to the previous characters. At one point, he's like, "Would you like a jelly baby?" type of thing, which is another throwback to Tom Baker, and just kind of going through trying to get back normal his
Yeah.
replicant self. So that kind of reminded me of that. Um, Kind of a cool fun fact that I didn't know. So the actress who played um, what's the is it Sarah Jane or the Sarah Jane Adventures?
Yeah.
Okay, I know she passed away, but the guy who played the homeless man I read was her husband.
Okay.
So that was kind of
Okay.
a cool
Yeah.
throwback to that as well. Did you have anything else that you were thinking about Capaldi?
Um, I was quite impressed with Listen. I know you didn't. You said you didn't get all the way through it.
I've gotten to
Um,
the point where they just she's she had the doctor take her back to her date. That's the part I'm on. So I've
yeah. Yeah.
that's
Well,
where
I
I'm at.
just think it's interesting how because uh yeah she's really becoming really quite strong as the
Yeah,
episodes go on, and to the point of in Listen, she's uh, I know that the story involves her kind of communing with the TARDIS,
yeah,
and so the but so she's kind of making the uh, decisions, and she's kind of giving orders as throughout it. Um, so I think that's an interesting dynamic, the way that's going. Um, and I also, by the end of that, I was fully embedded in the Capaldi as Doctor Who thing by the end of Listen,
okay,
because
cool,
it was there's a lot of stuff, a lot of depth in that particular story, um, and I think you get a good peek into the Doctor's psyche as well, to his psyche,
cool,
um, and after quality of the Robin Hood, which was just whatever 45 minutes of silliness, drama of Listen. I was quite impressed with the way he handled both sides of that coin.
cool. Yeah, yeah, that's neat. So
So I'm looking forward.
let's move on to kind of. Oh, go ahead. You're looking forward to it? Yeah, me too.
Yeah, next one.
Um,
Yeah,
see, and then that I know we didn't touch on it, but that whole story arc of Heaven and the Doctor's girlfriend and theories behind that too. Who knows what's going to
yeah,
happen? It's Moffat. Anything can happen. It'll
yeah.
probably be thrown back to Eccleston season. Who knows? Um,
Right.
so yeah, and then what I thought would kind of be a fun thing to do is talk about kind of our cultural differences and maybe different ways of looking at things or
You
just the
crazy
different
Americans.
things we have and crazy Americans.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so let's see here. I know there's a lot of kind of I don't know if it's still um, as prevalent, but there's a lot of different sayings like instead of a line here, you have a Q there. Uh, Trash can versus
Yeah,
bin. Um, Snogging
yeah,
versus kissing. That kind of
yeah.
thing.
You can't. Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
heard. Now, is there like okay with the snogging thing, which we kind of got introduced to in Harry Potter? Um, is there like a difference between? Well, you guys, sorry, in Britain, would you
No,
still
no, that
say
you said.
you guys, you crazy British? It's not the same. You can say you crazy Americans. I guess you could say you crazy Brits. I don't know. um, Now, is snogging like a certain level of kissing? Kind of like we'll say French kissing here. Is that more like snogging, or is that an over-encompassing term of kissing type of thing?
It's pretty generic for uh, a snog would be more than a peck on the cheek, but you know, we'll stop it before any kind of undressing ensues.
Oh, okay. um,
So
and
it can be kind of anywhere in between, but generally, um, a snog would be definitely a prolonged kiss.
okay, all right.
Yeah,
Okay, so one of the things I really enjoy do, like while I'm working or something, and I'm in between things, well, in between calls, I take calls at home for work, is I'll watch the Graham Norton show on like YouTube,
yeah,
and because like there's a lot of actors from over here that come over there and are on, and then I love the humor that Graham brings to things, with like the big red chair and
yeah,
just his interaction with his guests. Um, One of his guests was talking about, I don't know, I can't remember who it was, but they had like Matt Damon, Bill Murray, and someone else. I can't remember. I'm not as familiar with all the British actors as I am with the American actors, obviously. But he
yeah,
was talking about having his favorite woolly jumper. Is that like a sweater?
yeah,
A
yeah.
woolly
It would
jumper?
be. Yeah, there are some differences with the whole clothing thing. I mean, yeah, a woolly jumper is a knitted sweater. Yeah,
A
for
knitted
sure.
sweater. Okay.
Yeah.
Just like the
And another thing, I guess, when you guys say pants,
pants. Yeah.
what are you referring to? Trousers?
Trousers. Yeah.
Okay. Well, in our that's pants and trousers are interchangeable, but over here, uh, in the UK, pants would be underwear.
Underwear. Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
then he,
if you say it took me a while to get used to that when I moved to the UK. So
oh,
I'd say, oh, my pants are dirty. I got to go change them or something like that. So yeah, or I'd compliment somebody on their pants. You know, and
nice
that
pants. They're like,
yeah, yeah. Where'd you get your pants from?
nice. Where,
So yeah, and I
what,
mean that's just the difference between.
oh, that's cool.
Go on.
Where did you move from to the UK?
I was born in Cork in Ireland, and I lived there
Oh, okay.
till
Cool.
I was 17 or so, and then I moved to the Canary Islands for a while, and then moved back from there to Wales, which is where I am now.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Yeah, I couldn't remember if we went over that last time or not, or if I had read that or, but that's kind of
I
neat.
don't think so.
So are there
So
some,
yeah, there are differences even between Ireland and the UK in terms of terminology and stuff like that. You know.
okay, and one of the big ones is we say chips, we mean crisps,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and you say
And
chips
so
there, it's more like a French fry type of,
potato.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. But we still have fish and chips here,
Oh yeah,
which,
really?
yeah, I mean, we still use the term fish and chips. Like you'll go to a American restaurant and they'll have fish and chips, and they're not referring to crisps at that point. They're referring to some sort of French fry
Yeah.
fish and chips.
Yeah. Okay.
So I haven't been there yet. We have this place in Portland. It's a pub. It's called the TARDIS Room. It's a Doctor Who themed pub.
Oh really?
That's another word, pub versus bar.
Yeah. Because I was
Um,
just thinking, what do you have a difference between a pub and a bar? What would a pub be as opposed to a bar be?
I, well, I mean, like with this place, it's more of a family-friendly place until like there's like a law at 9 o'clock. No kids can be around. It's probably more like because there's like a bar where no kids are ever allowed type of thing, 21 plus.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's places that have like a restaurant and a bar. So like the
Yeah.
bar area is off limits, but the restaurant area You can have kind of like, I don't know, like Applebee's. Applebee's is like that. There's different places that are like that. So I assume that this place is more like that. I think as far as a bar goes, if you say a bar here, you mean a place where that's the main drinking is the main thing going on. There
Okay.
is food, but it's 21 and older. Um, that type of environment. Is that kind of what a pub would be? Would be just or
Um, a
what?
pub, the I mean, a pub and a bar. I'm not even sure what the difference is. You've got a difference between a pub and a club.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, there's a club too,
Pub
or
is more for kind of sitting around drinking in, and the club would be for dancing in. Um,
yeah. So yeah, a bar
uh,
would be probably like a pub then.
yeah, yeah.
Now,
Um,
what's the drinking age in the UK?
18.
18. Okay, yeah, it's 21. It used to be way back. It used to be 18 here, um,
Okay.
but it's 21. It's been 21 forever. I don't I don't partake of alcohol, so I'm just like
Yeah.
I don't.
No, so I mean, you get um, the the 18. Also, bars or pubs, clubs, and stuff here have um, what they call a duty of care
Hmm.
when they're serving alcohol. So, especially with people who've just turned 18 and stuff like that, they have to be very careful about
Oh, okay.
how
Yeah,
much they serve them. They can be prosecuted.
because depending on the person, I mean, I never really. I mean, I'm okay if people drink. Um, I just, me personally, I figure I can get just as goofy getting really tired and slap happy, and
Mm.
I just don't want to chance doing something absurd that I regret later on.
Okay.
um, but like, I mean, I know people who drink, and that's fine. Uh, but yeah, the thing out here, which I wish they would do that more here, is because kids will turn like 21, and since drinking has been this big taboo thing where, well, in 21 I can drink now. It's let's go drink anything and everything. I mean, it's not that case across the board, but there are that kind of thing, and
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, slow down.
Yeah.
Maybe
No,
just
I
try.
mean, it's the same because it kind of coincides with the age at which people leave what you'd call high school and
Yeah,
go to university or college.
that's
That's
the same.
about 18. So they're away from home for the first time and they're they're freshers.
Yeah.
Do you this call that as well? So, um,
Is it freshers versus freshmen?
versus Frenchmen?
No, freshmen, not Frenchmen. Freshmen. So we call the first year of college freshmen. So it's
Okay. Well, yeah, it's here it's freshers.
freshers. Okay.
Uh,
So then,
uh, and and so they'll and a lot of the bars and clubs will have, especially during the first couple of weeks of freshers, when they all come in, they'll have certain offers on. So it's happening now in Cardiff. You'll just get
yeah,
an influx of a lot of people who are just getting completely hammered for the first time, legally anyway.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And obviously, in any country, you have people who are doing that before the
Yeah,
uh, appropriate age
yeah,
determined by law. But
yeah.
so okay, so I know I could look this up on the web, but I thought it'd be easier just to ask you. How in the UK's government does it work with the royal family? Is there like the royal family and then like parliament and the prime minister? How do they like interact and who has, I mean, my guess is the queen has ultimate authority over everything, but then you have like a prime minister, which you kind of would equate to the president here, maybe.
The Queen is the head of state. but
Okay.
she can't interfere with um, any democratic proceedings.
Okay.
So um, she is the representative of, you know, uh, of the, yeah, she's the representative of the state, and she is the one who will, when the new prime minister is elected in, she is the one who'll kind of give him his seat, if you want, but she has no control over who that is.
Oh, okay.
So
So it's
she can't get involved in politics.
oh, okay. So it's more of we have the royal line of that goes harkens back to, you know, when the Americans were still over there, type of thing.
Mm.
And that's kind of evolved into a democratic processes versus a monarchy type of thing.
Yeah, so it's a dual. I mean, it's an unusual one where you've got the monarchy uh, still intact,
Okay.
and you've got a parliamentary democracy, which is developed, um, but chosen to keep the monarchy. Um, and the Queen, every year she gives her Queen's speech,
Right.
and she'll kind of set out what she thinks are the important things that that are important to the UK in this particular moment in time.
Okay.
Um, and it's whatever, meeting her and stuff, and she's the one who will bestow honors upon people as well.
Yeah, because
So
she's the ones that knights.
yeah, yeah. So it is, as opposed to France, which overthrew its monarchy in order to establish a parliamentary democracy.
Okay.
The UK kept it and just developed it underneath. So essentially took the kind of reins of power off the monarchy, but kept them there as symbolic emblems of the state or something, I
Okay.
guess you could say.
So it sounds like they still do have like, I mean, they may not be able to interfere in politics, but they still have kind of a say as to what they feel is important and the way they feel that the direction should go type of thing. And I'm guessing people still put a lot of, since they are the royal family, people put importance
Yeah,
into that.
people do put importance into it, but like I said, their official line is that they can't um, influence the so for instance, in the Scottish, I don't know if you know that the Scotland at the moment is trying to get independence from the UK.
I'd read
And
something about it last night. I haven't looked into it
okay,
fully.
so Scotland wants to become uh, its own entity, its own political entity, so it wouldn't be part of the UK.
Oh, okay.
Um, in a similar way to how the Republic of Ireland is its own um, political entity,
Okay.
and not part of the UK. Um, and the the Queen has the official line from the palace is that she has nothing to say about it. She can't,
Oh, she can't
and you
comment
would
on it.
expect, no, she can't comment on it, and you would expect the head of the state, as she is, to kind of come out and say, no, the the this union of countries that we have in the UK is very important, etc., etc.
Right.
But she hasn't said anything.
Oh, okay.
She, no,
All right. Well, that's definitely interesting, the differences in that as well.
but people do still, the people are very proud of the Queen and the monarchy and the various personalities within it. I don't have that personally because I came from Ireland where
Right.
you know
Well,
we
if you
weren't
come over
particularly.
here, there's a really big following of like I mean, when Princess Diana was around, there was
Mm,
like big interest in that, and then now with Kate, um,
mm.
and going to show my lack of knowledge. Is it's not Kate and the
There's
prince
Harry.
Harry.
Sorry.
No,
Well,
not
no,
Harry.
not Harry's the younger brother.
Yeah.
Um.
Uh,
Anyway,
I don't
the
want to
other
get you in
guy.
trouble.
Don't. Sorry, the other guy.
The other guy,
Harry's big.
Kate's husband.
Yeah, the less interesting of the two. The less interesting of the two princes.
Oh, yeah, because of yeah, I know what you're talking about. Um, we won't bring that up here because we're family friendly.
Yeah.
uh, okay, so yeah, there's like a big. I mean, it's in all the magazines. Kate's pregnant again, and the
Mm,
wedding was a big on all, like on several channels, and
yeah.
so yeah, there's still very much a interest in the royal family here in the United States.
Well, I mean, in terms of they'd still own, a lot of property and have a lot of because obviously the way um, the society evolved in the UK, because it was in that kind of monarchist thing, a lot of the power and money, they would still, they're still massively, massively rich, and that brings its own influence.
Right,
Whether
exactly.
it may not be overtly political, but
Right.
just that alone would have massive influence in what happens.
Which you'll see over here in the United States. It's the people with the money that have a lot of the political pull. Um,
Yeah,
I think that's just the way it is anywhere.
yeah,
But you also have, like, I mean, for me, um, I myself am I'm a Christian and I read the Bible, and the Bible says, "To much is given, much is required," and that's not always the way people see
yeah,
being given much. Um, but there are definitely people out there too that are wealthy who do care and do um, handle much well. They give and take care, which I think is the way it's supposed to be. Just in our interactions with one another, is if you're given more, um, I think it should be your choice first of all, but I think you should help other people too.
yeah. And I would agree that there are definitely people out there who do, but they are not going to make the headlines like the people who don't.
Yeah.
You know, so we won't hear about them nearly as much. Are you there? You just
Sorry,
stop on it.
I my browser crashed,
Okay, not to worry.
so now we have two of me. Okay, so yeah, I know you need to go. So let's wrap it up. You have to go get your kids.
Yeah.
Um, why don't you tell people again where they can find you uh,
Okay.
on the.
You can, if you go to columregan.com, you can find me. On Facebook, it's Colum Regan Music, and then my author site for the book, which is going to be available early next year,
Nice.
is Sanson-Regan Books.
So can you spell your name, the Colum Regan and the Sanson
Okay.
Regan?
Yeah. So Colum.
M is in
Or
Mary.
sorry, that
M
was
is
in
in
Mary.
Mary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. Regan,
As in
as in.
Nancy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Um, so that's the music side of me, and then the author side of me is Colum Sanson-Regan. So you've got Colum again, and then SAN for Nancy, SON for Nancy, hyphen Regan, Rega Nancy.
Cool. And then you can find us on, you can find Beyond the Bowtie on Facebook, so facebook.com/Beyond the Bowtie, Twitter at Beyond the Bowtie. Already said our email address, beyondthebowtie@gmail.com. And I know we have a Tumblr account, but Kat's not here. I think it's Beyond the Bowtie Podcast for Tumblr. And then also you can get us on iTunes. And yeah, so Colin, thank you again for joining us. It was
You're
really
welcome.
enjoyable. Hopefully next time we'll be able to get Kat out of bed and at silly o'clock, crazy silly o'clock in the morning. And
Yeah.
so yeah, this is Matt and Kat Beyond the Bowtie signing off.